Hello everyone. Today's topic of discussion is G20 summit. Let's start with the table of contents. The contents are: what is G20? Who is the chairman of G20? G20 summit history. Why in news? What was the theme of the 17th G20 summit in Bali? Where will the 18th G20 summit next year held? Let's start with the first topic. What is the G20? G20 is a group of 19 world's major developed and economics plus the European Union. It first met in 1999. It aims to secure global financial stability by involving middle income countries. Together, the G20 countries include 60% of the world's population, 80% of the global GDP, and 75% of the global trade. The countries who represents G20 are Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, UK, US, and European Union. Now the next topic is: who is the chairman of G20? The G20 does not have any permanent secretariat or headquarters. Instead, the G20 president is responsible for bringing together the G20 agenda in consultation with the other members and in response to developments in the global economy. The president of the G20 rotates every year among the members, and the country holding the presidency together with the previous and next presidency holder form the Troika to ensure continuity of the G20 agenda. Now the third topic is G20 summit history. The G20 was formed in 1999 in the backdrop of the financial crisis of the late 1990s that hits Asia and Southeast Asia in particular. Now the question is, why in news? India will assume the presidency of the powerful G20 grouping from the current chairman, Indonesia, on December 1 and hold the post for a year. Now the question is, what was the theme of the 17th G20 summit in Bali? The 15th November 2022 was designated as the G20 summit date. The theme of the G20 summit 2022 was Recover Together, Recover Stronger. The next topic is, where will the 18th G20 summit next year held? Recently, the Ministry of External Affairs announced that India is hosting the G20 summit leadership next year in New Delhi. India is assuming the presidency of G20 for 1 year. The symbol of the lotus in the G20 logo is a representation of a hope in this time. No matter how adverse the circumstances, the lotus still blooms. 7 lotus petals represent the 7 continents. 7 is also the number of notes in the universal language of music. In music, when the 7 notes come together, they create a perfect harmony. But each note has its own uniqueness. Similarly, the G20 aims to bring the world together in harmony while respecting diversity. In India, culture, both the goddess of knowledge and prosperity are seated on a lotus, shared knowledge that help us overcome our circumstances. Shared prosperity that reach the last person at last mile. That is why in the G20 logo, the earth is placed on the lotus too. Thank you for listening.